Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Youthberk deck profile for post-Raging Flames against Emerald Storm. This is probably one of the more hyped up decks from the latest booster set, definitely being a pricey deck at that. Youthberk has a bunch of grade 3s that are just sitting at a $30 price range, and we even have a newer one from the latest set to follow suit as well. It focuses on Revel Dress, a very similar ability to Overdress that focuses on being able to change your Vanguard during the attack step and then have different Vanguard attacks depending on which one you have. The newest one gives you more of a resource option, being able to add cards to your hand for a more defensive strategy the following turn. And with some other new cards we got for Keter Sanctuary in the latest set, it just adds for consistency for the field and for your hand. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ride deck, the ride deck has pretty much stayed the same since the last update. Our grade 0 is Youth Following in Footsteps, Youth. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Determined to Break Away, Youth. On the Vanguard during the battle this unit attack, it gets plus 2,000. And when this unit is rode upon by Knight of Ardent Light, Youth, you can Soul Blast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Youthberk and its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and choose up to 1 grade 2 or less unit from among them, and call it to rear. So you either have the option to search the Youthberk or call out a grade 2, which is pretty good for the consistency to get you either cards on the field or into your hand. The grade 2 is the Knight of Ardent Light, Youth. When it's rode upon by a card with Revel Dress ability, counter +1, choose a grade 2 or grade card from your drop and put it into your hand, giving you more cards to add back. And also, when this unit is boosted, you can Soul Blast 1 and it gets plus 5,000 to end of battle. You don't really want to use up the soul if you don't have to, but still a good search off of when you ride into your main grade 3, which is Youthberk Skyfall Arms. Along with the copy we are running in the ride deck, we are also running 3 additional copies of this card in the main deck, having Revel Dress on Vanguard at the end of the battle this unit attack. Choose up to 1 card with Revel Form and its card name from your hand, ride it at stand, and it gets drive -2 until end of turn. And you can discard a card, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Revel Form and its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, or choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card from among them and call it to rearguard and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it gives you search power just like the ride line also did. But being able to also just have the option for Revel Dress is what makes this card so important, because you have the Persona Ride option, along with also just being able to call other different grade 3s on top of this card. For the other cards with Youthberk that we are running in the deck, running 3 copies of Youthberk Revel Form Gust. When this unit is placed on Vanguard by the Revel Dress ability, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, discard a card from your hand, and this unit gets plus 10,000 and drive +1 till end of turn. So this makes up for the drive -2 that you get with Skyfall Arms, but also being able to increase the drive of your options with cards like Witch of Accumulation, Sequana. You can get this card back up to the normal drive option, but only 3 though. I would say one of the better cards falls in the form of Youthberk Revel Form Tempest. Ideally, I do want to run 4 copies of this card in the deck, just substituting in with some of the other Youthberk. This is a pricey card and will probably definitely be difficult for people to get. So if you don't have it, you can just replace it in with the 1 form of Revel Form Gust we have, and any forms of Revel Form Zest as well, to run 4 copies of this card. When it's placed on Vanguard by the Revel Dress ability, all of your front row gets plus 5 to end of turn. Then counter +1, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards with the same grade as any of the revealed cards, put it on the bottom of the deck, and then put all the revealed cards into your hand, being able to take away a rear guard that your opponent may have, and also a potential interceptor or something useful they may need the following turn, while still being able to add cards to your hand is what makes this card so scary. And then at the end of the turn, you choose a card with Revel Dress ability from your soul and ride it as rest. So this is the resource card I mentioned before. Being able to take out a rear guard, giving your front row plus 5 power, just adds more to the power altogether that this card was meant to do. So you definitely want to run 4 copies of this card if you have them. Moving on now to the grade 2s, running 3 copies of Knight of Fracture Schneisel. It's a searcher. When placed on rear, just for a counter +1, being able to look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose up to 1 grade 3 card with Youthberk from among them, reveal it and put it into your hand, and then this card gets plus 5,000. And when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard was placed this turn by riding from a grade 3, choose one of your Vanguards and gets plus 5,000 to end of turn, adding to the power, but also being able to give power to it with cards like Tempest makes it all the better, and just having that search to get the proper Youthberk into your hand for you to use. I'm also running 2 copies of the new Knight of Rendering Flash Cabrera. When it's placed on rear, you can counter +1, soul +1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and choose a card from among them, reveal it, call it to rear if it's a grade 2 or less card, and put it into your hand if it is not, and then shuffle your deck. More search power with this card. If you wanted to run the ratio, I'm pretty happy with the results of Schneisel and Cabrera, just giving you an option with Schneisel to look for a Youthberk card, and then also giving you a rearguard call thanks to Cabrera. You also have this in the form of Atrocious Moth Girl Maple, which I'm running 2 copies of this card as well. This is a 2 of just so you can have the chance of it going into the damage zone, so you still have 1 more copy to play in the drop zone when you place a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, and you don't have a unit with Maple already on the field, just giving you a free grade 2 from the drop zone for you to call out. That is it for the grade 2s. Moving on now to the grade 1s. For more draw power, still running the 4 Painkiller Angel. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted, soul +1, retire this unit, and draw a card. Adding more cards into your hand just for being able to retire the Painkiller Angel on the rear guard circle, just for a soul blast, saving your counter blast for some of the other cards we run, including your Schneisel and also your new card, the Flash Cabrera. And for some of the other cards that I'm running, ideally I do want to run, depending on 3 or 4 copies of the new Witch of Accumulation, Sequana. If you want to run a 4th copy, I have the 1 Nucleate Angel for a spot filler for it. But you can also take down 1 Painkiller Angel and just run 3 copies of this card to put in a 4th copy of this one. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Youthberk in its card name, it gets plus 2,000. And on rear, when your unit is placed on Vanguard by the Revel Dress ability, put this unit into your soul, choose one of your Vanguards, and increase or decrease its drive to 1 until end of turn. So even if your unit gets drive -2, like with your Revel Form Tempest, you can at least put it back to 1 drive check thanks to Sequana. Or even putting it back to 2 if you were to use the option of Sequana first when you ride into Gust, and then being able to use Gust secondly to increase its drive +1, giving you 2 drive checks off of the Revel Form Gust. Once again, this could be a 4 of that you run in the deck. Just take out 1 of the Painkiller Angels and the Nucleate Angel for the placeholder there. With the last of the grade 1s being 2 Wayward Therapy Angel. It cannot be ridden and cannot be normal called to rear from hand. When this card is discarded from hand during your turn, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can soul +1, call this card to the back row rear guard. Just being a 10k booster makes it a pretty good option for boosting your units that you have on the field, and you can discard it for the ride target for your grade 3, and then just being able to call it out, or even just for more of the discard costs we have in this deck. For the last of the grade 1s for the Sentinel lineup, just the 1 Elementaria Sanctitude and 3 copies of Aegis Mare Dragon, having the Blitz order to use when going up against triple drive and being able to not have to pay the discard cost, along with if you have 2 or more cards in your hand, being the only time you have to pay the discard cost for Aegis Mare Dragon. And then for the trigger lineup, I'm running 7 criticals, so 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon and 3 copies of Violation Rigor Dragon. For the next trigger of choice, going with the front trigger, it just adds more and more pressure with Youthberk. So 4 copies of Bard of Heavenly Song Alpaca for the additional 5k shield when guarding against a grade 3 opponent's Vanguard. With our heals being 2 copies of Recuperate Angel and 1 copy of Tear Sorceress and Invigorate Sage. And the over trigger being just the exclusive world premiere one, but the same ability for the Keter Sanctuary choice to use, giving your rear guards those drive checks also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed with the new Youthberk. This is definitely one scary deck. We'll have to see how it contributes to the meta as well. But I hope you all enjoyed the video. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.